Welcome to my explainer on the draft National Sports Policy 2024. We'll go through a few of the salient features, how this is different from the existing 2001 policy, where the approaches are new, and in some sense, why all of us should care about this policy. I'm quite excited about the direction this is taking. First, let's back up. The last time we've had an official national sports policy was 2001. Now, that's a long time ago, and lots of water has flowed under the bridge. But let's go back to what we envisaged for ourselves as a national sports policy in 2001. The 2001 policy actually had two prongs. It was around the excellence in sports and broad basing of sports. But a lot of it, when you looked at the minor details, it was really around finding talent and helping it to excel on the world stage. It had comments like priority sports, the sports that we're good at, finding talent in indigenous areas and tribal areas. So if you looked at the sort of the topics, there were a bunch of them. There's excellence in sports, there's broad basing. But again, broad basing was in the service of talent identification and finding the best talent in the country. Again, if you look at all of the themes, it was infrastructure development, incentives for sports people, equipment, building capacity of coaches. And really, it leaned on national sports federations. It looked at state governments and it looked at the Indian Olympic Association as, in some sense, the partners. So it was very much government in implement mode. Now, the big shift that we've seen in the national sports policy draft that's been issued recently in 2024 is that actually there's a significant shift in what the government sees as the role for sports. It's part of a larger nation building exercise. You look at the topics covered, it's actually not just about excellence on the global stage, and certainly that's an important one, India winning medals at major sporting events, but it also looks at new dimensions. It looks at sports for economic development, it looks at the social element of sport, and most importantly, it looks at sport as something that could be a people's movement. It's not just about keeping people as spectators to other people's achievements, where you're trying to find talent, trying to put people in international competitions, but it looks at sport as an individual pursuit which can convert into a nation building exercise. And I think the most exciting part, there was reference in the previous policy to how you can integrate sports in education. But again, that was in service of finding talent and making sure that talent excelled. But here there's a deep integration with the Education Policy 2022. So looking at the NSP 2024's association with the NEP 2020. And I think that's where it gets exciting. There are new terms used like physical literacy, which we've never seen before in policy. You also see, in some sense, government looking at new ways, recognizing there's many a slip between the cup and the lip, literally many of the cups that we've slipped up on. But it looks not just at the policy as a vision statement, but actually gets much deeper into how this can be implemented. You see new language like KPIs, key performance indicators. You see regulatory structures, frameworks, the role of technology and innovation. So all very refreshing new ideas. But the most interesting and exciting one is actually the transition of government from just implement mode, where the government, state government, IOA and the sports federations are expected to do everything, to building a much more enabling environment. So it's government in regulatory, but also enabling mode, enabling people to begin their own journeys. And if you look at that, I think the exciting part is looking at that last paragraph, which talks about that achieving the ambitious goals outlined in this policy will require a unified effort from all relevant stakeholders. And look at the stakeholder set that the government's put in there. It's government agencies, sports federations, but also private sector entities and the general public. So actually bringing the general public in as a stakeholder in sports ecosystem is an extremely refreshing move. And I think that's the only thing that is going to unlock the tremendous potential that exists in our country, looking at sport as a participatory pursuit and then building the pathways to progression that can lead to inevitable growth of talent and expression of that talent on the global stages. Now, I think this is a really important point in our sporting history. We're on the cusp of many, many changes in our sporting ecosystem and environment, be it in the business of sport, sports development. And I think this is an interesting and important time to put your voice in there. There is a chance through the course of this month to send in comments on the draft national sports policy. And I encourage all of us, because all of us at the end of the day are downstream of sports policy, whether we participate in active sport or not, sport policy impacts all of us. And here is your chance to add your voice to this very, very important policy, which I hope will see us turn the corner on what we can do for sport in India. Thank you for listening.